And now, Ralston Reports.
Welcome back across Nevada to Ralston Reports. The cattle battle between the Southern Nevada rancher and the Bureau of Land Management giving voice to a chorus of Americans complaining that BLM is embracing environmental interests over ranchers. It's always been a balancing act in Nevada. Here to go face-to-face, talk about that, medical marijuana, and much more, Congresswoman Titus. Welcome back.
Thank you, John.
So is Harry Reid right? Are they domestic terrorists?
Well, they certainly aren't heroes, as some people have tried to make them out to be. They're breaking the law. Bundy has refused for over 20 years to pay grazing fees. Legitimate ranchers pay those fees because those fees help to maintain our public lands.
Domestic terrorists, is that a bridge too far? Are those words you would use or not?
Well, that's not the term I use, but he's certainly a criminal because he has broken the law. And the people who are really hurt here are Nevada taxpayers because he owes this money that would be used to protect our public lands. And also, it cost probably $1 million for that roundup that went nowhere. And you know, that $1 million comes out of our Desert Tortoise Fund, which Southern Nevada developers have contributed to over the years to protect natural habitat.
Harry Reid at that event today talks about how he's worked with the entire delegation to try to balance, the interests of rural and urban to allow the ranchers to maintain their way of life.
Right.
But essentially, Clive and Bundy is an outlier. That he has refused, as you point out, to do that, and then he's got all these people. I think because he has no history of violence. I want to make it clear, his family. But then you have all these folks who come down here who seem, some of them I would think, were spoiling for a fight, Congresswoman.
Oh, I think so too. They came with their sidearms strapped on and carrying their long guns and saying they were going to put the children up front as human shields. I think they were spoiling for a fight. Now, if you look at those people, those are people from militia groups and extremist organizations. They were not ranchers. The Nevada Cattlemen's Association, Utah Cattlemen's Association, and National Cattlemen's Association all said Bundy should be paying his fees because that's what they do, and they are right to do it.
Bundy, I think he's gotten stirred up by all this attention. He spoke with the always reasonable Glenn Beck Monday morning on his radio show, and he said his standoff with the feds isn't about his cattle. It's about what he called an overpowering bureaucracy in the U.S. that needs to be disarmed. Listen.
My Clark County Sheriff, Doug Gillespie, didn't finish his job. He's got work to do. And what he did, the mandate of we the people was Saturday was to disarm the Park Service and BLM. And when he didn't do that, and his time limit was up, then we the people took it into our own hands and had to do the sheriff's job and the governor of Nevada's job.
Congressman, we the people, this kind of rhetoric that you hear. The BLM did botch this at the beginning, I think. I think they came in disfigurative, guns blazing, and setting up these First Amendment zones, which I guess they do in general. But that is not the right way to handle this either, is it?
Well, I heard from the head of the BLM Saturday morning when he told me that because of intelligence they had from the Sheriff's Department and the FBI, this was going to quickly escalate, that they were going to stop the roundup because they didn't want to see anybody get hurt. And I think that that's right. We are glad nobody got hurt. But that kind of rhetoric just inspires those people who came in here to talk about overthrowing the government. We are a nation of laws. Now, you have a right to challenge the law in court, which Mr. Bundy did and lost. You have the right to go to Congress or the state legislature and try to change the law, as the Cattlemen's Association does at different times. Right. But you do not have the right to take the law into your own hands or to just blatantly break the law.
So you spoke to Neil Cornsey, who was the interim head of the BLM. He's now been confirmed for the permanent job. Intelligence. They had heard intelligence that some of these folks were out there were going to do something violent?
They didn't give me any details about it, but they said that what they had heard from the FBI and the Sheriff's Department led them to believe that discretion was a better part of valor, and and nobody wanted anybody to get hurt. But this should not be over. Mr. Bundy should not be a folk hero. They've got to figure out some other way, whether it's more community involvement or back through the courts or through the other agencies to make him pay those fees.
The question is how you resolve this now, because there is so much tension out there.
Right.
I exchanged some correspondence with a former BLM official, Mike Ford, who's worked in 5 states for 25 years. He says there's only one way now to resolve the Bundy's situation. Here's what he told me. There's only one way to resolve the situation given the current state of affairs. That's Mike Ford. A judge must issue a warrant for Bundy's arrest for failure to comply with 2 court orders. A federal marshal and the sheriff, not the BLM, should arrest and lock up Bundy, where he should remain there until his family, not the BLM, remove all the cows from public land. That in and of itself will be tricky, but it is the only option. What do you think about something like that?
Well, I'm not going to second guess how they do it, but I think they need to come back and do it, as you say, in a more sedate way, with more public involvement with local officials. One thing that worries me too is this now sets back the whole Gold Butte issue, because there was some attempt to get the area around Gold Butte protected as wilderness. I had worked on that before. We had all the stakeholders at the table, but I think those relations now have been harmed by this.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned the Gold Butte area, which is around here. There are 2 bills, one in the House and one in the Senate, to make it into a national conservation area, which I think all these crazy people too are putting out these things. Oh, there's going to be a solar plant there. There's going to be fracking there. Yeah. All this stuff. Why would Harry Reid and the rest of the delegation want this to be a national conservation area? You think that's in jeopardy because of what happened?
Oh, I do. Well, the bill was already in jeopardy. I wrote to the president asking him to use his authority to establish it as wilderness, but now those tensions are so high out there, you'll never come to any kind of consensus about protecting parts of it and leaving parts of it accessible for recreation.
That's really too bad, because the negotiations are already very delicate.
Right.
Now you think this has just scuttled it.
I think so.
All right, we're going to switch gears when we come back. Congresswoman, we're going to talk about Dina Titus's visit to San Francisco. It wasn't just to see Nancy Pelosi. She went to a medical pot facility. She's going to bring back some samples when we return.